Hey everybody, David Skrika here. So today we're going to look at yesterday's reversal in the market. So sorry I have not done more the last few days. I've had an interesting week. So what happened is next week I'm flying or was going to fly next week to Canada, but I didn't realize, I guess sometimes we all live in our little bubbles and being on the island, it's not like exactly like I keep up with Canadian news all the time anymore. So it ended up I'm flying Air Canada from Nassau, and I was going to come up next Tuesday, and then it ended up a strike was going to start maybe on Sunday. Um, in Air Canada, let's go look at the charts. We are looking at the charts while I'm talking the story. Air Canada would stop flying on that Tuesday. That would be the day the full strike, and they would start canceling flights because obviously what would happen is you can't keep running flights all the way to the strike date because if a pilot, say, like I said, lives in Toronto, they fly to Nassau, they have to get back, right? So they slowly would start grounding flights as the pilots, wherever they live, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, would get back home, right? So there'd be less and less flights. And of course, like I said, it would, it's kind of a mute point. So because that Tuesday is when it could happen. So I don't know if they've averted yet because I haven't checked in the last day or two, but I decided to play on this err on the side of caution. So actually Air Canada, I have to say, as much as I bitch about them, sometimes they allowed us to change our flights for free. So I changed my flight from Tuesday to tomorrow, Friday. And I've been dealing with other stuff. I talk about how the island's always fun with these litany of things to do. Your house is always in constant flux. And I've been having issues with my car with the starter, and finally figured out the problem, and we just had to install kind of like a button, like basically a makeshift starter. So anyhow, so I had to do all that stuff, and then I'm helping out the guy who's going to watch my house for a few weeks while I'm gone. So sorry about that. So what I'll do is this is Thursday. I'll have a video Friday because I'll be stopped over in the Nassau airport for about 3 hours Friday, so I'll have time just to sit there and do another video. So we'll have videos Thursday and Friday, and then when I'm in Canada, the nice thing about being back in Canada is I won't have to deal with all this house stuff. So we'll be back on target. So anyhow, so I just wanted to tell you that. So yesterday when we're looking at today's stock chart of the day is industrials, Dow Industrials. So the whole market. So we had this debate. I do talk a little bit of politics on this, but I try not to get too much. I think one reason I've talked a little more this election because I do think that Harris is the most far left socialist type candidate the U.S. has ever had. No, I know a lot of people said that about Obama, but Obama to me was always kind of a little more pragmatic, right? And you never know what these guys are going to do. They can say politicians can say one thing and do another once they get in office. And right now, she's talking exactly the opposite of the way she talked in 2019. She's talking like, she doesn't care about fracking. She's like, it's just, back then she sounded like Bernie Sanders, and now she sounds a lot like Trump. So who knows where the truth will lie? Of course, if the Republicans retain the House and get the Senate, then she can't really do very much anyhow, right? So they can allow the Trump tax cuts to expire at the end of next year, but that's about it. So I think the combination, the CPI came in a little hotter than expected. The core was 0.3, it was expected to be 0.2. Then her looking like she kind of won the debate. Like, that's for you to decide. I didn't think Trump came off that well. He made that cats and dog, people eating cats and dogs comments and all this kind of thing. So again, the perception that she won the debate, because you could see the trades hit. I think the combination of higher expected CPI and the fact that she's not seen as market friendly, you saw the Dow go down as much as 700 points. You saw the S&P down a couple percent, et cetera, et cetera. And then you kind of saw this turnaround later in the day. And what was interesting too is the kind of Harris trades, if you want to call them, like the solar, all this sort of thing. They had these big spikes. First, solar was up 12%. And then like ALB, which is a big lithium company, this is very beaten up stock, but it was up huge as well. And you can see yesterday. And so, like, of course, EVs, solar power, green energy, that's kind of seen her as her trade. So it was almost like the market did start to price in a bit of a win for her. And I think the initial sell-off was due to that and whatever. I'm personally, like, I've talked about us maybe topping here, the market cap to GDP. I think like we're still going to see more like a 1968 or a 1980 scenario where the market kind of tops around or like doesn't top or doesn't start to fall to after the election. No matter who wins. Maybe if Trump wins, you get a little surge into the end of the year, but then market's priced in all the growth. And then maybe if she wins, the market sees like she's not very market friendly, etc., and you start to roll over. And I still think the real trouble for the market could fall next year. Don't get me wrong. I think will fall next year. But I think it's 2026, 2027, because that's when the rate hike cycle, or rate cut cycle, will be complete, probably by the end of 2025. And I think inflation will start that next move higher in 2026, 2027. Because one issue we've had right now, and I'll talk about this in Friday's stock chart of the day, is oil prices rolling over. China is the biggest, player for new demand in oil. 62% of new demand in oil in the last 20 years has come from China. I'll talk about that in there. And with China really slowing, of course, that's hitting oil prices, and we still have a lot of supply. Saudis and Russia are still producing a lot. The U.S. is producing 13 million barrels a day. Again, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But anyhow, so I was going to say, so what does this mean? Like maybe in the short term, the market continue to rally after a reversal like that. Like these are the semiconductors here. They're in a downtrend. Now I have a semiconductor short on, which I put on about like here, So I would probably leave my stop loss at these high. If we broke above, say, like 250, 255 on the SMH, I would think that'd be a sign. So, but again, if it's like I've talked about the fourth quarter of 2000, if the market just kind of drops to the end of the year, it's going to be a choppy trade. This is not going to be a crash type trade, etc. It's just going to be like a slow grind lower. And with the Fed kind of going to be trying to fight things with interest rate cuts, that kind of looks like more probable. So it's just interesting to see what happened yesterday, that huge reversal. And does it mean like we've launched another rally? We're opening up pretty flat today in the markets. NASDAQ up a little bit, Dow basically flat. So we'll have to see in the coming days. And like I said, if you go look at that fourth quarter of 2000, there were all kinds of reversals, little rallies that would last a few days, a week, and then they would all fade. So that's the one thing in a bear market. Like that's why for the average person in a bear market, just stay out, right? Don't try to trade it. Don't try to get short. Don't do any of that stuff. Maybe just own some of the gold stocks because they do well, when there's rate cuts and that sort of thing. And you can see the gold stocks, they still on their uptrend. They still look fine. Buy the dips, that kind of thing. Sell the rips, buy the dips, as they say. So that's what I'm looking at. So yesterday's reversal was interesting. It's probably a sign again that we're not headed straight lower, that this is going to be a very choppy trade. But I don't think it means anything longer term. And like I said, the way the market is now, because we have all this computerized trading and algorithms and whatever, we get those kind of trades. We're like, oh, Harris is going to win, buy solar, buy green energy, right? Trump's going to win, I don't know, buy oil and gas, buy the defense contractors. Because even though Trump actually didn't participate really in any wars as president, he's into like really building up the military. Like buy real estate companies because Trump's going to, pressure the Fed to cut rates. It's like they have these certain trades that are set in and it happens almost like right away, So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. And one thing I did find interesting about the debate, and this is why it's laughable. Like they should be ashamed. Like these journalists are a joke, a total joke. And I'm not even talking about them kind of like ganging up or whatever you can say, biased against Trump. I've talked about what's the number one issue, if you know me, the debt and deficit. You have a 30, $4 trillion debt and a $2 trillion deficit, and interest payments are coming up to $1 trillion a year. They did not ask one question about the debt or deficit. Like, what a complete joke. Like, to take like ABC or those two journalists seriously, I will never in a second. They are, my dad's friend used to have a saying, they are a sham of a mockery. Like, it is a joke. That's why I can't take anything they say seriously. So I guess I'll stop it at that. But everybody take care. And like I said, I'll have something up Friday, and then I'll be in Canada Saturday. So everybody take care. Bye.